We are live now for the May 14th Tri-Creek School Corporation School Board.
Okay, I call this meeting to order. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of
the
the
United
United
States
States of America
and to the
Republic
for
which
which
stands
one nation,
one nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty
justice for all.
justice for all.
Okay.
Now we're
Hey,
going,
good evening. Good evening, everybody. Under communications, just to let everybody know, please send any community input on agenda items or general comments to Dr. Rod Garden's email at rgardin@tricreek.k12.in.us. As we get them, we will try to have answers. If not, we'll get back to you at some other point. So once again, that's to Dr. Garden's email at rgardin@tricreek.k12.in.us. Okay, under good news, Lowell High School is a 2020 Best High School based on rankings published by U.S. News and World Report. That's fantastic. Dr. Garden, do you have something to say in regards to that?
I do, and maybe Mrs. Patrick wants to chime in here as well. Let's see if I can open my document for that. Lowell High School was ranked. There we go. 73rd in the state out of 410 high schools.
That's fantastic.
Right. So that puts Lowell High School in the top 18% of all high schools in the state. And it puts Lowell High School in the top 16% of all high schools in the country. So that really is tremendous. There were 6 criteria: college readiness, curriculum breadth, reading and math proficiency, reading and math performance, underserved student performance, and graduation rate. So all those 6 combined allowed Lowell High School to be ranked so highly.
Well, I, for one, would like to give a big thank you to all of our staff, not only at the high school, but across the district, because let's face it, those kids end up at the high school, but they start someplace else. And I would just like to say that, if anything, that's a true, it really shows how many people we have working towards the same goal and how much care and attention our staff takes. And I just wanted to really say thank you to everyone, because that's really awesome. I mean, you see that, and I know, let's be honest, a lot of different things go into that, and it can change one day to the next, but I've always known that we have something special, and I would just like to tell them thank you for that. So, okay, anybody else in regards to that?
I just kind of want to echo what you said, Michelle. I'm just very proud of the staff, and obviously our students are, well, we're lucky to have our students, but I think that Lowell is a great place as well. And so I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Very good point. Okay, all right, next, under presentations, and look, it's Mrs. Patrick, graduation pathways.
Okay, Jay, am I good to present? I can do that, right? We're good to show my screen, right? Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Did it share? Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So Dr. Garden had asked after we had gone through what the master schedule will look like in classes for next year, if I would put together a presentation on pathways, just kind of as a refresher, but also so that everybody knows what we offer at the high school. And so graduation pathways is in full force for the class of 2023. So that's our freshman group right now. And there are 3 different requirements that students from the class of 2023 on have to meet in order to earn a diploma. So you'll often hear them referred to as boxes. Box 1 is the required courses and electives. So those are your required English, math, social studies courses that lead to the Core 40 diploma. So if you look, and I won't go through all of them, but those are the requirements that students have to take in order to earn their diploma. So this is considered box 1. When we get to box 2 is about demonstrating employability skills. And so this was put into place because the state believed that students needed to show that they were developing skills that would help them be successful in the future. So these are skills like communicating, being on time, good attendance, things like that. And so students can meet this requirement in 3 different ways. Project-based learning, service-based learning, and work-based learning. So last year we put into place with our interactive media and English 9 classes, we put together, they created a project that would be the culminating writing piece would be the reflection piece that's necessary to meet this requirement. So we basically have to keep evidence that students have met this box. And so through the interactive media and English class, all freshmen that take that are able to get box 2 out of the way and complete. There are a handful of kids that aren't in that class, but those are situations that we work with on a one-on-one basis. So, but students can also meet this requirement if they have a job. And so they would basically be reflecting and sharing what they're learning at their job, or through a service-based learning aspect, which actually can even include participating in extracurriculars. So box 2, like I said, the majority of our kids will earn that their freshman year. So box 3 is the post-secondary ready competencies. And this is the one that's a little bit trickier. There's multiple ways that students can earn this. They can earn the academic or technical honors, a certain score on the SAT or the ACT, the ASVAB if they score 31 or higher. There is a list of industry certifications. If a student earns one of those certifications, that would meet the requirement for box 3. The CTE concentrators, those are our pathways. And so we often refer to them as a course A or a course B. And basically, if a student takes the course A and course B, they would complete the concentrator and they would be able to meet this requirement. The majority of our kids will meet it in that sense. And so we'll go into detail just about our course offerings in just a second. But also advanced placement and dual credit courses, students can also meet this requirement through taking certain classes that are AP or dual credit. So those post-secondary ready competencies, just to give you a little bit of info on how we try to ensure our students have every opportunity to meet those. We do administer the SAT to all juniors in the spring. College Board actually just put out that they're going to allow seniors to take it in September. Because of COVID-19, our juniors didn't have a chance to take the SAT. So we will administer that again in September. The ASVAB, we administer twice a year. The industry certifications that we currently offer that are aligned with this requirement are the CNA certification, the ASE student certification, the NIMS machining certification, and then the welding certification. And then the advanced placement or dual credit, we have a ton of those courses that students can take that obviously would help them earn the box 3 requirement. So when we talk about CTE concentrators and we talk about pathways, we've aligned our pathways with the CTE concentrators because that's what kids need for graduation. And we've also found that that's where many of our students' interests lie for the future. So even if a student we know is on track to earn box 3 in a different manner, we still try to make sure they have a pathway, because not only is it going to help them for graduation, but it will prepare them for the future. So when students enter in ninth grade, they have to come up with their 4-year plan, and we always have them choose a pathway. Even if it's going to change, that's okay, but at least they're starting to think about what the future will look like. So we have 14 different pathways at the high school. And again, when we say we have the pathway, that means that we are able to offer the course A and the course B in that area. So just kind of going through, for example, our agriculture pathway is we have 2 different routes you can take. The horticulture landscape is hort science and landscape management. And we also have the ability to offer landscape management 1 and 2. We do offer the intro course, which there's been a lot of talk about whether the state's going to require intro courses. They haven't officially made that change yet, but it's something that's been talked about. But as we look at the master's schedule, there's also courses that we offer that are not aligned to a pathway. So for example, natural resources is an A course, but we cannot offer the B course due to licensing. And so while that class may be popular, it's not helping kids in terms of a career pathway or graduation. So that might be something we have to look at each year to phase out, or maybe not phase out, but reduce number of sections just to ensure that we have kids that are on the path to a graduation pathway with a concentrator so they earn their diploma. Our business and marketing pathway, we've just realigned it to ensure that all of our business classes for next year will meet the A and B concentrators. And so students can choose either the business office management or marketing. And so because for some of these pathways, we're just kind of starting, next year we will be offering the course A and not course B yet, with the intent that hopefully the following year we'll be able to run the course B. So same thing in terms of even engineering, we have principles of engineering is the first course, and then kids can either go into aerospace or computer integrated manufacturing. Aerospace and computer integrated manufacturing are classes that will currently run every other year or based on interest. So I'm really excited this coming year, aerospace engineering is gonna run. We have 12 or 15 kids that are interested in that. And so I believe it's been a couple years since we've had the interest to offer it. So that's a really great course that students will have the chance to take next school year. Our biomedical pathway is with our PLTW program, and this is a very popular course or path as well. We offer all 4 years of the PLTW Biomed program, starting with Principles of Biomed, Human Body Systems, Medical Interventions, and then Biomedical Innovations is the final course. And that's a course where there's a lot of research and exploratory. The group that brought the guest speaker and was really involved in student mental health, they came and spoke at a board meeting. They were in the Biomedical Innovations class. So this is a new pathway we're offering next year. It's the education professions. So the past 2 years, what I've done is sent out a survey to all students and asked them to indicate what pathway they're interested in continuing to pursue, but also gave them the opportunity to write in a pathway or a career or something that they really want to do after high school, but maybe we didn't offer it. And so many of them want to be teachers, which I think is fantastic. And so we are offering Education Professions 1 next year. It will be a new pathway for next school year, and the class is already full. And so I think that's going to be a really popular pathway moving forward for all of our students that are interested in being teachers. Computer science is also a new pathway for next school year. I'm really excited to tell you all that we have 30 kids signed up for Computer Science 1. This is super exciting, and I'm sure that the middle school offering the intro to computer science played a part in that. But we've talked many times as an administrative team about Computer Science 1 is really that basic course, and Computer Science 2 and 3, that's where maybe some of the more gaming or more fun areas that kids want to take. And so we have 30 kids that are going to start that pathway next school year. We also offer interactive media as a pathway and graphic imaging technology. The interactive media pathway is one that, because all students take interactive media as freshmen, they really only need one other class for a concentrator. And so that often helps out if a student is in a pickle to graduate, quite honestly. We've had some students, since our current students can still opt into the graduation pathways model, But also our graphic design is truly growing. We have we're looking at three full sections of graphic design next year. Mr. Delgado does a fantastic job, and it's a program that's continuing to grow. So that's another great way for our kids to earn the Box 3 requirement. We also have health sciences, which is our nursing program. And then, of course, our welding pathway, which is so full. We've had to do some serious brainstorming to get every student who signed up to be able to take it because it is so popular. But those both, again, meet the requirement for Box 3. Our auto technology pathway is also Auto 1 and Auto 2. And then precision machining, this year, it was we actually ran it under advanced manufacturing, but the teacher, Mr. Hebbles, looked over standards and worked with Ivy Tech and believes that a better fit would be precision machining. And so that's a pathway we'll move forward with for next school year. We have radio and TV, and then also criminal justice. Our criminal justice numbers have gone up, so we will actually fill an entire schedule with criminal justice, all full classes. So just kind of to recap, the education professions and computer science are new pathways for this coming school year. And based on the areas that students were interested in when we sent the survey in January, there were 3 areas that students indicated: family and consumer science for culinary, human and social services. There were a ton of students who indicated they wanted to be social workers or go into some form of psychology. And then we also had a handful that were also interested in the health science for physical therapy. So those are just things that we think about and keep in mind as we're continuing to plan for even the following year to see what courses we can offer to meet students' interests and needs. So, okay, I just went through a ton of information. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm good.
I can't hear Michelle.
You gotta unmute herself.
I got it. Took me a second, sorry. I just wanted to say that was a great presentation. It was right on point and gave a ton of information, so I appreciate that. And I was really excited to hear about the education pathway. I know tons of students that go into education from Lowell. And I also want to point out that that says a lot about our teachers, that they do that they respect and like our teachers and think that so they think that that is such a great profession. So a little kudos to our teachers on that one. And the computer science is something that I've been pushing for some time. So I was excited to see that moving along also. But no, it looks like you guys have just a little bit of everything going on over there. And I do agree that I would love to see us move with something in culinary also. I see that that is a passion for a lot of kids. But it looks like you guys have it ready and going. And I know pathways can be, like you were saying, when you have a class that doesn't exactly match up into that pathway, but it's a class the students like, it's got to be frustrating to some point. So, but I just wanted to say, it looks good to me. So, other questions?
Well, thank you.
You guys are all really, really quiet. I just want to say this.
I think it's because of the format. It's a whole lot easier to communicate with each other when we're in person. But Angela, nice job. A really good, thorough explanation of how the pathways are different than what people may have thought about how to earn a high school diploma previously through just the accumulation of credits. That no longer is the case. Kids have to check off these boxes along the way, and our counselors have to be very mindful, which they are, that they get every box checked off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we should maybe point out also that is a state, that is done by the state. They have put down what is required. That's not a local decision. I mean, we plan it out for our school system, but as far as the requirements for a diploma, that came from the state. So, but anybody else?
Yeah, I think it was a fabulous job, and there was a lot more to it than I ever thought. So congratulations.
Oh,
It's not like when I was in school.
No.
Definitely has changed.
You
definitely.
guys, you guys wouldn't know about that. You youngins.
Well,
Thank
and
you very much.
yeah, it's
Thank
good
you
to
very much.
you have the presentation now in board docs, so you can continue to refer to it if you need to. And you
Right.
can also send that if someone is uncertain about what career pathways are, you can provide that to them, or you can direct them to the high school to say, you know what, they've got the answers to your questions.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Mrs. Patrick.
No problem.
Okay, next presentation, Governor Holcomb's 5-phase plan and the impact on school operations. Dr. Garden.
Yes, thank you. Governor Holcomb issued his 5-stage plan probably about 2 weeks ago. And we've really been studying it as an administrative team to find out how that impacts school operations. What's most important to look at are stages 4 and 5 right now. Lake County, Cass County, Marion counties were not permitted to move forward out of stage 2 because of the number of cases still within those counties. As those cases go down, then they can move on to different stages. But what we want to look at, to begin, there are 4 principles within the plan, and those principles have to be continually met in order to proceed from stage to stage to stage. Can everyone mute? I'm getting some feedback. There we go. That helps. So in the 4 principles, principle number 1, the number of hospitalized COVID-19 patients statewide has decreased for 14 days. Principle number 2, the state retains its surge capacity for critical care beds and ventilators. Principle 3, the state retains the ability to test all Hoosiers who are COVID-19 symptomatic, as well as healthcare workers, essential workers, first responders, and others as delineated on the Indiana State Department of Health website. And then principle 4, health officials have systems in place to contact all individuals who test positive for COVID-19 and complete contact tracing. So again, those principles have to be in place in order for a county to continue to move forward. When we look at stage 4, and stage 4 is coming up on June 14th, and at that time, then we can move from 25 people on location to 250 for social gathering. Along with that, even though you can have 250 people, you must still maintain social distancing guidelines from the CDC, which we know is a minimum of 6 feet between people. There's a recommendation for masks, but not a requirement. What we especially are looking at is stage 5, and that will be July 5th and beyond if those 4 principles continue to be met. If we see a surge in COVID-19 cases again, a county may not progress to a new stage. But if we get to stage 5 in Lake County, and that would be beyond July 4th, at that point, then we can have social gatherings of over 250 people with social distancing. So what that means for us, 2 events, prom and graduation. And we know those are very important to high school kids and their families. So prom, we know prom would have more than 250 participants when you put all the students and then the sponsors. There's well over 250. The very hard part though is how do you enforce social distancing at a prom? I attended prom last year and great event, but it was packed. There's no way in that space that we had could you get 6 feet between people and maintain that throughout the night. The other event that we're looking at, of course, is graduation. We sincerely want to have an in-person graduation to send off our class of 2020. What we're looking at is, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Kevin and Jay, I'll continue. Maybe you can, yeah. Okay. So the other event we're looking at, graduation, of course. What we are contemplating is to have that on the high school field or the high school football field. Um, again, requiring social distancing and of that 6 feet apart. The field would probably be big enough. The stadium would probably be big enough. What we have to look at are the other components of that. Um, that how many visitors can be there for that event because the stadium only has a certain amount of capacity. So we know we can get our students there. We don't know how many guests that they can invite. We'd love to have as many as they want, but that's not going to be possible. Um, so we are looking at that. We're thinking it's got to happen after July 4th, and we still have to be meeting those 4 principles to be able to be in that stage. So we're looking at perhaps somewhere right around maybe end of July to have that. And then we've discussed, well, what happens if it rains on that day? Can we move it inside? We could, if it were regular, like a basketball game, we could be in the gym, but it's not a regular basketball game. We have to have 6 feet apart from everybody. And it wouldn't be possible to have, we have about 280 graduates. And then if you had every graduate who invited 2 people, so we're roughly around mid 800s there, and then you put in board members, administration, and faculty members who want to attend. The gym is not large enough to have that many people at 6 feet apart. So we are really trying to brainstorm as much as we can and provide that graduation ceremony. And we're working on it. We just have to follow what the governor tells us is permissible. Along with that, after the 4th of July, when you can have, that's when the governor is going to release more information about K through 12 or schools and what schools may look like for the fall. So we've had lots of questions about what's going to happen for the new school year. Right now, we are on pause because we could develop some great plans that are very detailed about what we're going to do. But if the governor says, here are the requirements, they may be contradictory to the plans we've already created. So we do have to wait until after we get into that stage 5 to know how we're going to progress.
Okay, are you pausing here?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you on all of that. And we are kind of in a tough situation because as much as emotionally we want to do all of this for the students, we really need to make sure we're doing what is also responsible for the school district. So I think a lot of things are kind of on pause here. I really, we all know, every single one of us here would like to see a graduation and a prom for these students. But we're kind of on a wait and see and to see where it stands. So yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And as far as the opening day of school, nobody knows right now. Even talking to other districts and everything else, everybody's in the same spot, just kind of waiting to see what happens. Because that's exactly what the governor's doing right now too. He's waiting to see what happens. So anybody else have any input on this?
Just to that, Michelle, a lot of what's happening is just kind of very bare bones skeletal planning, like trying to anticipate as many different scenarios as you can,
Right.
and recognizing that the biggest factor is the unknown. So we can plan a lot, but you know that you're going to maybe go in a whole lot of different directions depending on what guidance we get and what updates we get from the state. So the plan can never truly be fleshed out until we have that guidance.
Right. I think, like discussed, where you guys are concentrating on improving the broadband for a lot of the students and making sure all the students have the best internet capabilities that we can, and kind of looking at the e-learning and our expectations, not only of our expectations of the teachers, but also their expectations of their students, and then also to take into consideration of the parents. I mean, I think we're all in agreement that e-learning is going to be, well, we know it's going to be around for Tri Creek no matter what, because it's going to be part of our curriculum for snow days or whatever else. So I really just, I know you guys are evaluating what has been going on, and I just hope that we learn it, we use it as a learning tool, I guess. We had kind of a really long e-learning going here where we can see the things that where our weaknesses and just work to improve those things. And I think the feedback that we get from the parents and from the teachers and everybody and students themselves, you know, we have, and just work on those things to improve it for next year. Because I have a feeling that some part of learning next year is going to be e-learning again. So, but
just kind of going off of what Kevin said, being new to the group, watching all of them try to make every plan possible to try to work anything out they can is kind of amazing watching them all do that.
yes. Yeah, there's a lot of effort that has gone into this. And like I said, it's been adjustment after adjustment after adjustment, because, you know, from an administrative view, you're saying to the teachers, hey, we need to make sure the kids are still getting a full source of education, you know, this and that. And then we're hearing from the parents, not everything is possible. Not everything is possible for the kids at home, and that their support systems sometimes aren't as strong as we would like. And I'm not saying that that is a parent's fault either. I mean, we're dealing with illnesses and financial issues and emotional and issues and everything else going on. So I just think that it's just been a big learning experience, and we've had to make adjustments along the way, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty more adjustments to come. So I just appreciate everybody's patience and understanding with it. So any other comments in regards to the 5-phase plan or the impact on school operations?
I just wanted to add, you'd mentioned the broadband, and Jay Blackman, our director of technology, is working on that, working with T-Mobile is our latest provider that's working with. The difficulty is it's just not available in all areas. As much as we want every student to be able to have a high-speed internet connection, the infrastructure just isn't there from the provider. So he's working with T-Mobile to see what we can do with hotspots. And knowing that not every one of our students has the high-speed connection, we are working, as you've been talking about evaluating your learning, we are working on the lessons for the future to make sure that we have parallel kind of lessons. One for kids who do have that rich internet connection, and ones who may not. So they can still have learning activities, but not have to rely on Wi-Fi or broadband.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on to consent agenda routine. Approve the minutes of the meeting held on April 9th, 2020, and approve payroll and claims.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, under personnel report, approve the personnel report dated Thursday, May 14th, 2020.
I'll make the motion.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Any questions or comments in regards to those? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
And on that personnel report, I don't think that they can. I don't know what happened there.
Wasn't me.
On that personnel report, you have a couple new teachers, and because of our system that we're in, they're with us at the board meeting so you can meet them, but not tonight. But Angela is here and Lindsay is here just to give you a little bit of information about the 2 teachers who were hired tonight.
Awesome.
Good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see all of your faces and get a chance to talk to you. It's been a while. So, like Dr. Garden said, one of the things that I love that we get to do when we hire a new teacher is to really showcase them off to you guys, and they get to see some faces. So I have passed along the live webinar to the new teacher that I hired. So I had to post an art position. My current art teacher has moved out to Colorado. And as you know, when you post an art position in the elementary school, it can be difficult to find someone that just loves kids as much as they love their subject matter. Art is a K through 12 position. So you have some of your secondary people, you have some of your elementary people, and I am pleased to announce that we have found someone who will be able to fill the big shoes that Danny is leaving behind of her love of kids and her love of the artwork. She is a recent graduate of Olivet Nazarene as of Saturday. She has majored in art education. I wanted to make sure that we were able to announce her. She had a virtual graduation, but they didn't announce any of the kids who graduated by name. So, going into education, one of the things you want to do is celebrate your teachers and make them feel welcome and comfortable. One of the things that I loved about Sarah that she kept going back to in every interview question that I asked her was just her passion that she has for the subject matter, but a balance of finding kids' interests no matter what their level of art expertise is, making them or finding ways for them to enjoy it, and just emphasizing that she knows that art is everywhere and it's not just within her academic standards in her four walls, but to pair science with it or to pair math with it, to pair some of the social studies, to really just bring that interdisciplinary feel to that and balance her academic standards with just meeting kids where they are in their artistic ability and holding them to high expectations to get them to love art and to push themselves. She has a specialization. She loves ceramics. So we have a kiln at Three Creeks Elementary, and our kids, that's one of our kids' love too. So she'll be able to slide in there and do some art projects with them. She's already made some connections with teachers, and she's ready to go. And we're just really excited to have her on our team.
Hey, if you need some stuff for pottery, my wife has a bunch of molds and actually a kiln if you need one. So,
No, it might be touched. I know we got a good donation from the Munster Art Center of ceramics and materials last year. They were getting rid of a whole bunch of things, and our art teacher contacted them because we did some classes, and they gave it all to us. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
So, I just thank you for allowing us to still go through this network to introduce our new teacher. So,
And her name again?
Sarah Scott.
Scott. Okay, awesome. It sounds like she has a passion for it. So looking forward to meeting her when we finally do get to.
Thank you.
So. And
I had two new hires today. So first was for biology. We are very grateful and happy to hire Nicole Anderson. Nicole has filled in many different positions over the years. And one of the things when we interviewed her that was 100% just very evident was one, her passion for kids, her love of the Lowell community, and she has some really awesome ideas just for biology and engaging kids. And so I couldn't think of a better addition to our science department. Nicole is currently filling in for English right now, and she is doing a phenomenal job with the way that e-learning is going and the contact she's making with parents and kids. And she genuinely cares. And that's really what we need. So I'm really happy that she's joining the LHS team.
that's fantastic. And I'm also very pleased to learn that she's already been kind of at ground level with the e-learning process, so that she's not coming in new with Tri Creek and new with everything else. So that's wonderful to hear.
Yes. And the next hire is for an English position. We are very lucky to have hired Bree Zimmerman. She is a recent graduate and from Purdue Northwest. She's a Kankakee Valley grad and is doing her student teaching in Couts. Even though it's ended, she's continued to do it because she doesn't want to leave the kids just kind of hanging before the year ends. So a couple of things that were the entire interview committee acknowledged and realized she'd be a great fit. She talked a lot about relationships. She talked a lot about student-centered strategies. She had such great examples on how she differentiated for special education students. And she does have, with the e-learning, she's obviously a part of that with the teacher she's been working with at Couts. And she just brings a lot of energy, and I know it's going to be a great addition to our English department.
That's fantastic. We won't hold the KV part against her at all. So,
All right,
but
sounds good.
yeah, so thank you very much for all that information. And welcome, new teachers. Looking forward to meeting you when we finally actually get to meet people and see them face to face. All right. Well, here we go. Under new business, approve the addition of a welding teacher position at Lowell High School.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Dr. Garden, anything to say on this?
I do. The addition of this teacher is necessary because of the popularity of the welding program. Currently, we have 80 students who want to be enrolled in welding. With 80 students, our capacity is about 48 students within the building, within our Red Devil Trades building. And last year we had about 60. So to accommodate that, we added a zero period before the beginning of the school day. Even with having a zero period again, this upcoming school year, and we keep talking about upcoming school year as it's going to be normal.
Yeah, I know.
It is. But with 80 kids, and we want to enroll every one of them because that's their interest.
Right.
In order to do that, we need a second teacher so that we can have some of those students who will be working in the welding bays with one teacher, and some of the students will be working in the classroom on activities with the other teacher. We think this is a wonderful problem to have.
Yeah.
Welding is a great career path for kids, and it can lead to great jobs. So we're thrilled to have the RDT. We're thrilled to have the problem of we have so many kids who want to enroll, and we're equally happy that we're going to be able to find another great welding teacher to meet those kids' needs.
Yeah, you're like you said, that's a great problem to have, and to see the kids' interest has been really encouraging. And I know we've talked about even adding on to the building and everything else. So, but yeah, and I really appreciate the above and beyond that the welding teacher has already taken with the zero class hour.
Mhm.
And done everything he could to accommodate for those students. So I just wanted to say thank you to him also. Then looking forward to eventually meeting a new teacher for the welding position.
Do we have
So,
anybody in mind for that, Rod?
We do. We are looking at personnel at Ivy Tech.
Oh, really?
That's where Mr. Woodbury came from. So he's reaching out
Yeah.
to his colleagues who are still there
Mhm.
to see if they would want to leave Ivy Tech like he did and come to the Red Devil Trades building. And thinking, we were talking about that, we did meet last Friday with our architects, Mr. Woodbury, the welding teacher, Mr. Hebel, our industrial machining or precision machining teacher, Mr. Wester, our auto teacher. I was there, Dana Bogut, their business manager, is there, talking about how can we increase the size of this building with the available land that we have. And Tom Kuhn, our architect, listened really intently to what the needs were, not only for more welding area, but also more classroom space, more office space, and more storage space. So Tom is working on plans of how we can expand that building.
Did we ever get a follow-up on that property?
No, we have to wait probably until about next month. Last time I talked to the attorney who is the kind of the manager for those property management companies. He said they had to go to court and they wouldn't have resolution until May or June. So I do have on my list to follow up with that attorney to find out what they're going to do with that property next door.
Yeah, that would help with an add-on, huh?
Probably not for the Red Devil Trades building. Look at Patty. Look at Patty down there. She's smirking. That property is more than likely too far away from the building itself.
Well, we can move the parking lot and just add on to the building, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we still use the property, but just make it a parking lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or practice field. Yeah. So no, we are still on top of that property, just waiting for the process to get done in the courts.
All right. We could do both.
Could someone mute Lon, please?
I'm sorry, but I so wish that this had been live so I could have seen Patty's face when he was talking. I'm sorry. We love you, Patty. We really do. We just know where your priorities lie. Okay, so number 2, accept the donation from Floor Maintenance Services of Highland, Indiana in the form of welding supplies at $2,500 for the Lowell High School welding program. Dr. Garden?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have a partner like this who is willing to provide materials. We had another donation last year, about $4,000 worth of material from a different partner. And these partnerships go beyond just the donation of materials. They also help us out in knowing what kind of skills do our welders need to have when they leave our program so they can be employed. So we're just very thankful that not only for the monetary, the donation, but for that partnership that we have. We're also reaching out to them, to all our different partners, because we want to add an adult program where we can offer classes for adults that lead to industry certification and help our Lowell community have a place where people can go to get the skills that they want to have a great career. We have the building and it's only used during the school day. So why can't we use it on the weekends or at night?
Yeah, we've talked about that since the inception, as far as, what can we do? What are the kind of things that we can bring to the community and offer, a way for certifications and everything. I mean, I think that is a fantastic idea. I'm glad to see that we're moving forward on that. And
we are. Kyle Bestich, who's one of the assistant principals at the high school, who oversees the career and tech ed programming, I've asked him to talk with those industry partners and say, this is what we want to, this is our vision, to have an adult education program. How can you help us put that in place? Also, Tim Summers, who is our director of career and tech ed for our cooperative, is working with him just to find out what are all the pieces that we need so that when you're done, you're a certified welder.
Yeah, and I've been really excited to see just the partnerships, just like we were talking before, even like the Art Center in Munster, that they donated the kiln and the clays and stuff, and like this here with the donation. And I know that we've gotten a lot of auto parts and cars and everything else, and it's wonderful to see the partnerships. And it's not only for the donations and the parts, like you said, the knowledge that they bring to the table, but also to see what a good quality program that we have, and to give our kids some place to head to as they graduate or get their certifications also. So I really, really love all the partnerships that I see coming across in our direction. So thank you guys all for working towards those. So, okay. So I need to have a motion to accept the donation.
Make motion.
Or did I do this already?
No.
Okay. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments in regards to the donation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Under other information, format of future meetings, virtual or in person, Dr. Garden?
Right. This goes back to the governor's 5-stage plan that when we hit June 14th, we can have up to 200 people in one location, provided social distancing is put into place. And then when we hit July 4th, July 5th, we can have over 250 people. Currently, we can have of about 25 people in one location for a meeting at a school for an essential function such as the school board meeting with social distancing in place. Right now, the board has elected that virtual meetings will take place to preserve everyone's safety as much as possible. So it just needs to be, think about what we want to do in the future as things start to open up more. Again, if you hit those 4 principles of health and numbers continue to go down, do you want to continue? How long do you want to continue to have virtual meetings? And then when would you might want to return to in-person meetings? And what kind of structure do you want in place to ensure that if you do have an in-person meeting, people are as safe as possible?
Okay. All right, I agree. This is something that we don't have to answer tonight. We've already made the decision, like you stated, that we're going to do them virtually right now. So everybody just kind of needs to think about it, please, and bring your information at a future time. Okay.
We do have more information for you. We have 2, Patty McCormick is in the meeting, and also Jason Wappen. Patty is going to provide information for you on athletics. And this is so tricky because, again, June 14th, we can have up to 250 in one location with social distancing guidelines. So Patty's going to talk about that. Also, I think Patty might talk about the change in the physicals that are required of student athletes. Okay. And then Jason's going to talk with you about the Lake Prairie mound system.
Jason, you want to go first? Jason?
Yes, I'll go first. I'll be going first. So after we found out information of what the troubles were with Lake Prairie mound system, I've tried to track down from the start of where they started and where we're at now. I tracked down the guy who actually installed the mound system about 25 years ago, and had a sit down with him about how he thought he could fix it. So right now our system, gallons per day is about 3,300 that is allotted. State requirement says we can only use 80% of that. So, and with our building capacity, it's 15 gallons per day per student. And roughly we have to go by what its maximum can hold, which would bring us up to 8,250 gallons per day. So with that, after talking to the contractor that installed it, he's almost certain that he can fix our issues to make it last a little longer. And I've also called the engineer that we've been working with to see if we can get an addendum from the state to still use the current system we are if we upgrade it just a bit to bring it to working at least to 95 to 100%. So that's where we're currently at with the mound system at Lake Prairie.
So you're saying you have to add on?
At this point, if we can get the state for an amendment, if we get it working 90% up, and if we get the state to agree that if they are going to run water out there, we can currently use that system until the water is ran out there.
What do you got to have water out there for?
From the town.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, yeah. The state will give us an addendum if the town is eventually going to run water out there, so we wouldn't have to do an upgrade.
Yeah, we don't know that.
Right. But he said that we could use it, at least the state would be the big majority of the part to say how long we could use our current system for.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Jason?
So are you going to make a proposal to us or then and figure out what's going to cost us?
Yes, we've kind of got some numbers out there that I've kind of gave around, but we're having another sit down with the contractor that we met with to really get, if we had to add on, what would we really have to add on if it was possible. Metro Excavating.
Oh, Metro. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he knew the system. When we were having a little bit of issues, he showed me all kinds of stuff about the system that I had no idea because he's the one who installed it.
Yeah, Jim's a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's who we're currently working with right now to try to fix what our current issues are.
Sounds good. I would just like to make sure that not only is it done right, but it's going to last us a while because we can't really rely on the town, and we need to cover our butts on this.
Correct, and that's why we're making sure we're making all the right moves and we're taking our time. And the state is all aware of what we're doing right now. I have a meeting with our current engineer together, and they're going to try to work out a better plan.
Okay, sounds good.
Jason, I just wanted to say, I know that this has been ongoing for a while and that you've been really working well with this and trying to come to a conclusion with it. But I also wanted to say thank you and to thank all of our janitors and maintenance people out there for all the extra work that they've had to do with this, cleaning the buildings and stepping up with a lot of different things and your oversight. I just wanted to say thank you guys very much for handling all that. So
I appreciate that, and I do want to say that the custodians and some of the maintenance guys have really stepped up to make it easier for us to fix some things that we know are going to come down the pipeline with this COVID-19.
Exactly. And I know that you guys have had to really think about protocol and, how you're going to handle this in the future also. So just wanted to say thank you to all of you. So, okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yay.
Yeah, I don't think so yet. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next is Patty.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Gordon asked me to give you a quick update on two areas. The first of which is the physical requirement being changed by the IHSAA for next year. As you know, it has always been protocol for every athlete to have a physical every year before or at the April 1 mark to carry them through the summer and the next year. We put into place that our kids would have to have that physical before summer activities, whereas the state requires it before they begin in the fall. Because of COVID, that's been extended to 2 years, reluctantly, but it was done based on our sports medicine committee, which involves a number of orthopedics, pediatricians, physicians from all over the country. And at the end of the day, they said many of the states currently allow physicals to last for 2 years. And so our students for 1 year will be allowed to use last year's physical, provided obviously that there were no restrictions or contraindications, that they're not a transfer student, or that they were not pulled from activity based on an injury. They would still have to be put back in by a physician. The board doesn't have any intentions of this to ever go to a 2-year plan. We feel strongly that kids change so much that they need to have that physical every year. They need to see a doctor for a whole string of reasons. And we have them held captive to that physical, so we might as well. But it's just good practice. And so this should be a 1-year thing based on the fact that we didn't want to send kids into doctors' offices in groves by a certain date. And so that's the reason, at the advice of the attorneys and the doctors, that we are going with the 2-year plan for 1 year. The second item I want,
Patty,
question on that, Doug?
how does that affect the freshmen? Do they
It doesn't.
physicals in 8th grade carry over then?
They sure do. We've had our middle schoolers doing the IHSA physical for a long time. And so it'll carry in exactly like the high school would. So everybody's good, including our middle school kids. Our middle school kids, if they had 7th grade, would carry to 8th grade and so on.
Are we still going to have I know we used to do it like at the school for physicals, like what about new athletes?
Our new athletes that did not participate are going to have to go and get a physical at an outside source. We felt ill-advised to bring, I think we're doing about 400 physicals on that night, and it made no sense to gather kids, no matter how far we staggered them or how many nights we stretched that out. We wouldn't have been in a position to do those in a timely manner anyway. Just wasn't good practice. So they're on their own to get to go to their own doctor to get that form filled in.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that then. So
Yeah.
if they didn't have a physical last year,
Correct.
then they are going to have to get a physical this year.
Right. If they're transferring in from another state, they would have to have a physical, or if there was anything on their physical that, indicated they needed to see a doctor. So those things are still in place.
Okay. All right.
The second thing that I wanted to make sure you were aware of, obviously, Dr. Garden has mentioned the June 30th date in terms of our campus being closed, but we got thrown a bit of a curveball by the governor. Not so much that we are hopefully up and running by July 4th, but that we got to get sports up and running again. And there's a slight gap between July 1st and the beginning of school. Even if it were a normal opening of school, it's about a 6-week gap. And so there's no direction there. There's no indication of direction yet. But we are really just in a holding pattern at the mercy of what the governor's medical team decides and how fast we can move and what it will look like. There are a lot of people right now planning on opening their doors on July 1 and just letting kids get after it. They would still have the numbers restriction of 250 until that July 4th date got here. That's not going to be our plan. We're going to be extremely conservative, but at the reason that I wanted to talk to you tonight is it's going to be a local level decision, just like beginning school will be. It'll come down to what the board thinks, Dr. Garden thinks in terms of what is safe for our kids. I had a conference call this morning from people all over the country and what they're planning on doing, but that doesn't matter because we're in Indiana. And it's going to be tricky. We know social distancing is going to be a part of it. Masks very well may be a part of it. I've talked with Jason already. We've got to get some extreme cleaning measures in place. I mean, the list is long. Not doesn't even talk about getting PPE in that fast. And so I just wanted to let you know that as things unfold, and I'll be working with Rod and our administrative team, but that decision can't be simply based on our kids want to get back out there and play. They are all restricted from our campus until July 1, which brings up the question of youth sports and what you want to do in terms of our campus being open for those, which is a different discussion, I would imagine. But that's the update that I have. By all legalities, when July 1 rolls around, we're allowed to gather with those groups of athletes up to the number of 250. And so that's closer than we think. But we do expect some direction from the governor's medical team here in the next couple weeks. So instead of guessing, I'll work with Rod and we'll get back in touch on what our options are at that point.
So Patty, even if so July 1 date, and we can have up to 250, and then after July 5th, we can have over 250. How do you put social distancing in place with teams?
Well, you don't. You couldn't be in the weight room and spot a kid lifting. You could do it in cross country if I was in the back of the line and Kevin were in the front of the line. We could do it in tennis. We could, in a single situation, we could do it in golf. The state says we're going to be playing sports just like normal this fall, but I think it could look different. We've had a big coaches meeting in the last week, and I've been really proud of our coaches that put together some great plans on what they can do to make their kids safe. And so we're working on it from that end as well. But the truth of the matter is the social distancing piece is going to be in place, and it's going to make it extremely difficult to play soccer and social distance.
Yeah.
Maybe a drill and drill situation with minimal kids at a time. It could look a lot of different ways. And right now, I'm doing kind of like what you're doing. What are the different ways that school could look like from August? I'm looking at all the different ways that our teams could look like. But truth be told, other than conditioning kids, and that's another big area of concern for us. By the time that July 1 date rolls around, our kids will have been idle for 100 days. And I say unless they're extremely motivated and going out on their own. The other side of that is all the clubs and fitness areas and all of those entities are going to be opening up as well. So what our kids can't get on our campus, they're going to find a way to get it on another campus. I have no way to monitor if safe practice is in place there. So it's going to be a real challenge. But it's comforting to know that it'll be a local decision and needs to be. We'll get to it. It's just not going to be that easy.
And so I want to go back to graduation and prom, because all these are interrelated. Because if we're saying athletics is going to open up July 1 and we can't enforce social distancing, then why not have prom?
Right.
I have a feeling things are going to change a little bit as time goes by. You know, as they're monitoring what's going on with the numbers and hospitalizations and everything else. I think we're going to see some tweaks. I just think that we just need to just be cautious with them and use our.
Well, and the difference that I see is with things like prom and graduation, we have reservations to make. We have equipment to rent. Kids have, girls have dresses to purchase. Other things need to be bought. Flowers need to be ordered. So there's some lead time needed for those two events.
So, to a degree. I mean, I think we're all going to have to make a few adjustments here. And I agree that there has to be some lead time, but I think people are also just going to have to be accepting of nobody's in control of this right now. Basically, we have no control over this virus. So as it comes, if they want to have a prom or if they want to have a graduation, we're all going to have to kind of go with the flow. Use patience and understanding and just do what we can, but it's not gonna, it's gonna be a variance. It's not gonna be the perfect thing that they imagine necessarily, but we're trying to get it done.
Yeah, what I can say is we are going to try to treat everybody as fairly as we can.
Right.
But everything may not be equal.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. So, anything else with? Oh, I did want to bring up Patty. Just to remind parents, I know normally we're off the first week of July. So if they do allow the athletics to start, then would we start the first week then of July? Necessarily
That's a great question, Michelle. I'm sorry I forgot to bring that up. So that is our moratorium week. And during our preseason meetings, I pushed that's the week to schedule your vacations. Well, that will also potentially be the week that people leave their homes. I mean, in somewhat normal situation. So we are not going to start anything until that following Monday, which would be July 6th, for multiple reasons. Not so much that piece of it as I really believe that our deep cleaning, our misting and fogging, every inch of our weight room, we work on a skeleton crew right now, and we have 12 locker rooms. We have a lot to cover before we would be anywhere close to student ready. So like I said, I really believe we're going to get some direction here in the next couple of weeks that will be helpful. But right now, everybody's hitting the panic button. But we're not going to do that. The safety of our kids is going to be at the front of the line. And then we will get them as prepared as we can. It's never going to be the way we want it to be. It's not going to be the same. And we've come to terms with that. And we'll adjust. We'll figure it out.
When you go to a gym, you do usually self-sanitize. Like when you're done with a piece of equipment, you sanitize it down. Is that something then we can also do our students do that now, or is that something they can start to do to help out? Like you said, we have 12 gyms. So to be able to say that our custodian crew is going to be able to go into those gyms and just completely, clean them from top to bottom every day. I don't foresee that would be possible really, but if the students and the athletes helped, I think that it could make it a little bit more manageable.
Our kids do that. They disinfect, but kids are also kids. One of the things that you have to really consider with athletes is when they're sweating and working out, their hands go to their face. And now we're hearing eyes. So ears, nose, and mouth are all concerns with kids, and kids covering their mouths and the whole gambit. We're in an adult world, but we forget that when they get in that mindset, it gets a little sloppy. We've got some really good things in place in terms of killing on contact with misting and so on, that we've been working really hard at over the last couple of years. But again, that facility alone inside is enormous, but we have to look at outside also, shared restrooms, shared equipment. It's deep. It's a lot of stuff.
Okay. I agree, but thank you for all of that.
Rides to practice.
I'm sorry?
It's rides to practice. It's
Oh,
getting,
Yeah.
jumping in cars with kids.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how do you even handle, because we all know you're not going to be able to stop kids from driving together or driving home from practice, or, there's a lot that goes into this, but I mean, I don't think it's necessarily the athletics aspect of it. Once it opens up to a degree, I think in most kids' minds, that distancing is kind of going to go by the wayside as far as meeting before school or after school or at a park or whatever else. So I think we just have to really be as proactive as possible, and to make it so that, because I don't know how we would control this. I really just don't. So I'm hoping.
Our two most concerning sports, our fall sports, our two contact sports are soccer and football. There is no way to play either one of those two sports without mauling each other.
Exactly.
And so, they're just different than the others. And anything could happen. All kinds of crazy stuff is out there, and we're not paying a lot of attention to it. But some things may have to move until after we have a vaccine. We don't know what those are, and we don't know when that would happen. But there's just so many uncertainties, and we're just going to have to, again, be patient. We're still in the month of May on the front half of it, and it will shake itself out, and we'll do the right thing. But we want our kids out there also.
Right. Just maybe we can tell them, keep their running up and work out by themselves. Come on, guys. So, all right. Thank you, Patty.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Garden, did we have any emails?
We didn't. I've been checking throughout the meeting, and there are no emails that have come in.
Okay. Well, I guess that's kind of good news.
Yeah. I do have some more information for you that I want to make sure that we reinforce with the parents and the public.
Okay.
May 20th, next Wednesday, is the last day of e-learning.
You probably missed all the screaming and yelling and jumping up and down that just happened, right?
Probably. That's going to be a relief, I know, for parents and for students. It's also going to be a relief for all of our teachers who've been working so tremendously hard at retooling their learning to continue to make it as engaging as they can in this environment. May 20th is also the last meal kit pickup day. So the message went out this morning that the reservation form is open. So we're encouraging folks to make sure that they register for those meals and come pick them up then on the 20th. Also coming out probably by Monday, I asked parents to submit questions asking them what's on their mind about school operations, and we had 83 responses. And within some of those responses, there were multiple questions, so that's great. And we've been going through all those questions and preparing responses to them. And did we lose Michelle? Oh, she's up there. Somehow lost her video. There, she's back. Okay. We've been preparing responses to all of those. Okay. Angela texted me. We say May 21st. Sorry, May 21st for the last day. May 20th is student meal pickup day. But the Q&A document is coming out early next week. with all the answers to parents' questions. The most prevalent question we had is, when is laptop and device return? And we will have that figured out for parents by Monday, because we're debating, um, do we ask them to return their laptops and devices, or do we allow them to continue to keep them and keep them throughout the summer, which we haven't done before, to perhaps continue some of their learning. We're looking at making Mind Play available to students throughout the summer. And we're also considering, we are going to have high school students who want to take online courses through the Indiana Virtual Academy, which is our summer school program. And in the past, they haven't had their laptops to be able to do that. So we're going back and forth trying to decide what's the best action to have. Keep the laptops and devices for the summer, or turn them back in.
It
And
also
we
help with the virus contact too.
right, right.
Because you got to clean. You don't know if they're going to be clean when they turn them in, or what.
Well, what we see, our protocol when students return them, Jay has been working on safe return procedures. So throughout this whole closure, if a student's laptop has malfunctioned and they need a loaner, we've been having students come to the middle school. We have the community room, which is kind of set off by itself, and the students leave the laptop in that room, and a new device is already there waiting for them. So there's no one there that they have to interact with to be able to get a new device. So Jay has also been working on safe practices for returning devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
And then all of his crew, last week, Wednesday, when we had cap and gown pickup, all of his crew was gloved up and had masks on when kids were bringing their laptops back on that day. I think that is it.
How would that affect Jay as far as, because I know usually over the summer is when they update and do a lot of different checks and virus
Right.
things. So like,
Yeah, it wouldn't affect kindergarten through 5th grade at all with the iPads.
okay.
And he is confident that even 8th grade through 12th grade with the MacBooks, that he knows that there's some updates that need to occur. And if we come back on the first day of school in our regular traditional setting and collect those laptops, he could have them turned around very quickly, all updated and ready for kids to use again.
Okay.
So he's already anticipated that.
All right. Anything else, Dr. Garden?
No, I just want to say, thank you to everybody, all of our teachers, even our instructional aides have been jumping into Google Meets to help kids. So thank you to all of our staff, teachers, our support staff. Our custodians are continuing to work. They're continuing to make sure things are clean. They are helping. Our maintenance crew is helping out with food distribution. It's just been a wonderful school community effort for the past, 8 weeks. Today is only May 14th. We closed school on March 13th. So it's just been 2 months and a day, but it seems so much longer than that. But in that time, everybody has flexed to be outside of their job duties and just pitched in where needed. We thank the kids, the parents. I know it's very weary and it's tough. It's not only tough because your kids are home, but because things have changed at home as well. We know unemployment is rising. People who didn't think that they would ever be unemployed suddenly are. And so we recognize that, especially in light of the assignments that kids need to work on. We know it's extra stress, and that's why we relaxed our requirements on e-learning, that kids don't have to worry about that 3-day requirement to get your work done. Here's the work, continue to work at it, and we'll work with you to continue to learn. We have our reentry committee formed. We have probably about 20 people. It's a cross section of teachers, administrators, mental health care professionals, healthcare professionals. Our director of custodial services, Mrs. McCormick, is on there. Just trying to cover our food service director is on there, trying to cover every aspect of school and trying to plan, how do we re-enter safe? That's our greatest priority. How do we re-enter safely? And then how do we continue education after that? And what we know, we're going to have learning gaps. We know that kids are not, of course, learning as they would if they were with us. So we're going to have gaps. We know kids are going to need mental health services. They're going to need that loving touch. We know that we have to take care of their needs of their heart first before we can take care of academics. So we're going to be especially gracious and compassionate when we eventually get back together.
Okay, I also wanted to continue on that. I have notes here, but I just wanted to bring up teacher appreciation before that. We've asked them to go completely in a different direction than what they're used to. And I just wanted to let them know that I think we all truly do appreciate them and all the work that they've taken on working from home, doing this with kids, and really going that extra mile. And I'm betting that there's a lot of parents out there that really, really appreciate the teachers right now. So also, like you brought up, that there's a lot of things that are going on right now. And although education is important, and that's why we're here, it's most important. We have families that have illness, financial issues, and just a lot of mental issues going on right now, and that we understand those. Please reach out to us. The safety as far as health and just the mental part of all of this going on, that is the most important thing right now. So just wanted to say thank you to all of the families for their patience and understanding. And we are only going to deal with this if we all work together. I would like to put another thank you out there to the food staff who have been putting together the food packages and all the other people that have been working with them, the volunteers to help with this. I really, really appreciate all of that. And I also, once again, would like to welcome the new teachers. I feel bad that we don't get to meet you in person. And also to our seniors out there. This is an unusual circumstance, and I feel so awful that you worked all these years, and it's almost like it's left hanging. We're not sure what's going to happen with prom. We're not sure what's going to happen with graduation. I know you are all disappointed, but I also wanted to give you this little piece here. You're going to be able to talk about this forever. You guys were the COVID class. You were the first class in history that was under quarantine when you were supposed to be graduating from high school. This is a story you're going to get to tell your grandkids, I hope. I hope eventually this goes away and things go back to normal so that this is a big deal. So I just wanted to say we're all thinking of you, and we're trying to do the most that we can under the circumstances we are dealt. So thank you once again for patience. Do we have any other questions or comments from the board? That must mean no. I really hate doing things. Kyle, anybody? Nobody? Okay.
Nope.
So then lastly, I would just like to say that our hearts go out to Dana. And we love you, hon. And I call this meeting adjourned.